Hi everybody, Shabbat Shalom. We're heading on to a very, very important Shabbat, which, like any part of the Torah, so much gems, so many things we can learn from. The things that the Torah is teaching us in this Parashah, like any other Parashah, it's not just what happened there and then. It applies to every single one of us today. And today we wanted to talk about Chet HaMeraglim, the sin of the spies. What happened? Who were the spies? How could they talk Lashon Hara about the land of Eretz Israel? And why was the punishment to the naked eye so not proportional? More than the golden calf? This is what was the final straw that broke the camel's back? That Hashem did not let our forefathers to enter Eretz Israel. They had to die in the desert, wandering around for 40 years. Let's look at it a little bit deeper inside. And with the Chafetz Chaim's help, and we saw who wrote the Hilchot Lashon Hara, why the sin was the one that Hashem did not forgive per se. Of course, He forgave us that the children went inside Eretz Israel, but the people who said Lashon Hara about the land and the ones who accepted the Lashon Hara, unfortunately, died in the desert. So let's see. It says over here that the first mistake that the spies made was that they did not learn the lesson that happened just a few weeks or a month before in the desert with Miriam and Eliyahu. At the end of last week's Parashah, we saw what happened to Miriam, the prophetess, the sister of Moshe Rabbeinu, who spoke Lashon Hara in private to her brother in order to see what's going on with Moshe Rabbeinu, to make Shalom Bayit. They didn't know some points that they should have asked Moshe Rabbeinu first, and that was considered Lashon Hara. As like we said last week, she had to stay out of the machanot of Israel. She had to go out for 7 days to be by herself. And everybody's asking, what's going on? Why are we leaving this place? How come we're not traveling? Everything is ready. So we talked about Moshe being talked about by Miriam, and she caused them this whole thing. It was actually for Zechut, we explained last time, because everybody learned they told Lashon Hara for a week. So they should have been Bakiim to know they hold Lashon Hara backwards or forwards by now. But unfortunately, they didn't learn the lesson of Miriam, and they came and talked. And since it was so close to the episode of Miriam, and they should have learned from what happened to her, and they didn't, that's why Hashem was very upset. That's number one. But it seems between you and me, to the naked eye, it was not proportional. Not that we're asking Hashem, why did you do that? Everything He does is justice and it's fair, but we try to understand what happened over here. So looking a little deeper, we see that they also spoke about Eretz Israel. Okay, what's the problem? Saying Lashon Hara about Eretz Israel? Okay, so I said about Lashon Hara about New York, London, Paris, everywhere in the world is Hashem's. So why specifically Eretz Israel? And this is compared to somebody goes to a house of a common person to eat a meal over there and comes out, his friends ask him, how was the meal? How was the house? How did it look? The chandeliers weren't so nice. The food wasn't so great. Okay, still said Lashon Hara. Okay, you can understand it. Commoner, this and that. But he goes now, is invited to the palace of the king. He goes, get a 5-star meal. Chandeliers are beautiful. Everything is tic-tac. Comes out, how was it? It was better than a commoner's house, but still the chandeliers, the wood wasn't mahogany, this and that. Over there, the punishment is going to be much, much worse, because you're such an ingrate. Even by a commoner's house, instead of saying thank you, you're always looking for the bad. And to come to a king's palace and still say bad things, you see why now. Why it was so proportional that they got this punishment for 40 years in the desert and they didn't come in. Okay, but still, maybe still not 40 years, maybe 20 years, maybe let them go in after 40 years. Why they had to die in the desert? And the answer is, go a little deeper, the Chafetz Chaim says, and this is something that exists in our hearts today, that if you don't fight it, unfortunately you could fall to the same trap. That the Meraglim, the spies, they came back and they said, look, everything is great. Hashem promised us we're going to go into the land. Eretz Yisrael is beautiful. Here are the fruits. Look, it's so big, so everything is nice. Giants are going over there. But there's one problem. We are losers. We're not on the level of Tzadikim Gemurim. In order to go to the palace of the king, which is Eretz Yisrael, and to make a mistake there, the eyes of Hashem is always there. You cannot play around in the palace like you do in San Francisco. Over there also it's a sin if you don't keep the Torah. But over here in the palace, forget it. You need to be extra righteous. And that's not all. It wasn't so long ago that we did the golden calf. It wasn't so long ago that we complained about the man. And that's the problem. When the evil inclination comes in the person now, he goes to a shiur. He's looking at this video right now. He has a certain desire now to do teshuvah. And he's about to do teshuvah. He goes and learns the halachot, but the tzar comes and tells him, excuse me, you, the loser, want to make teshuvah? You don't remember what you did last night? You don't remember what you did for the past 7 or 8 years or 10 years? He starts bringing you all the things that you did, but he does not remind you the fact that teshuvah will take all the way that and make it go away. He says, you're down, stay down! Might as well continue with your averot. You could never be a big tzaddik. You know what it means to do teshuvah? You have to do this and this and that. No. Come Kalev Ben Yefuneh and Yehoshua Ben Nun and says, no. Hashem loves us. He just wants us not to be mordim. Lak ba'Hashem al timrodu. Just don't go and do the averot by making Hashem angry with 2 hands. Hashem says to keep Shabbat. I'm not going to keep Shabbat in order to anger God. That's what Hashem doesn't expect you to do. Of course, He wants you to be a tzaddik gamur. But that's the sheifa. That's the level to get to. But right now, when you decide to teshuvah, say, from there on, I'm not going to make Hashem angry with my terrible ways. I'm stopping, Hashem. I'm now making a U-turn. Although it's going to take me a long time to get back. Hashem says, you made the U-turn? I love you. Rambam, Echot Teshuvah. Yesterday, it was despicable, hated, far off, abomination! Because of his desires to do averot. But today, he wants to teshuvah. It's called a friend, yedid, loved, brought close by Hashem. What happened in just 1 second, 1 day? Yes. This is Uvales Yon Goel, Rishaveh Pesha, Yaakov. Hashem just wants you to make that decision not to be a posha anymore. Not to rebel. Once you decide that you don't want to rebel anymore, although it's going to take time to go and come back all the way, to go to the level, but that's it. Hashem wants you. Stretching out His hand. The Meraglim says, no. Hashem is not going to want you back until you get there. It's going to be such a long fight. It's not worth it. Let's just chill out now. Yeah, Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe's going to come with us. No. Yehoshua ben Nun and Kal ben Yifra says that's not true. We have to move forward. We did teshuvah for the golden calf. We did teshuvah for talking against the man. And although we did averot in the past, we've said to Hashem, now we want to come back. That's good enough. Hashem says, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. Come! But the spies didn't. And they ruined everybody else. And that's why only 2 people come in. Kalev ben Yefuneh and Yehoshua ben Nun. What do we learn from this? There's a lot more to say. We learn from this, a lot of times in life, when the Yitzhar comes to a person and says, listen, up to this point, you lived your life like anything but the Torah wants. And now you wanted to teshuvah, you have to change this, you have to change that. Learn from Yehoshua and Kalev. Don't listen to it. There's nothing more that Hashem loves when a person says, stop. At this point, I did this, I'm going to stop now. At that point, Hashem hugs you. And then you go from there. But you already called Hashem's friend. And that's what we learn. We have to choose to be like Yehoshua ben Nun and Caleb ben Yefuneh, and not to be like the Meraglim. Not to be like spies. Not to have an evil eye. To look at everything negatively. This, that. I'm never going to be 100%, so I might as well throw it in. No! Be like Yehoshua and Caleb. Even if you're not 100% now, but you turned. The kid comes on and says, I got a 50 on the test. That's 50 more than 0. You're the right way. Next test is going to be 60, 70, 80. But I love you now. I'm not going to spit in your face because you got a 50. That's Hashem. I'm looking at the cup always full. You want to come back? I'll take you like Yehoshua and Caleb. B'ezrat Hashem, you should be zocheh to be like Yehoshua ben Nun and Caleb ben Yefuneh, and not go in the ways of the Meraglim, to have a good eye and not like the evil eye that they had, to look at everything negatively. Like the Parashah finishes up by the Parashah of Sisit. It says, Lo taturu acharei ravachem acharei nechem. Tutur means the lashon of tayar. Someone who's a tourist. Tourists are always looking for good things. Moshe Rabbeinu, when he told him to go, he didn't tell him to go spy the land. Spy always looks for the bad things. Where the hole is here, where this is here, where we could be attacked. He told him to go tour the land. To be like a tourist. Bring us back good report. How good it is. How everything is positive. Lo taturu achel avavchem. You could have an evil eye and be negative when it comes to doing averot. That's a good place. Oh, disgusting! I'm going to do that averah? Discuss that averah, the sin away from yourself. That's good. That's where you have to be a spy. But when it comes to the ruchaniyut and mitzvot, and all the good that Hashem has given us, be a tourist. Look at the good. And your life is going to be much happier. Hashem is giving you oxygen, food, wife, kids. And then you have so much to thank for, and you have no more place to play anymore. B'ezrat Hashem, we should always be on the side of Yehoshua and Caleb, on their team, to always look at the good things that Hashem does for us, and when it comes to Averot, to make sure that we are disgusted by them, so we don't go towards them. And B'ezrat Hashem, this way, we'll have Uva Letzion Goel, Ushavei Yaakov. B'ezrat Hashem, move away from Pesha, from the bad, and come to the good, and we'll have the final redemption. B'mihar Rabbeinu v'chesed rachamim. Amen. Shabbat Shalom Mevorach.